did you watch the Will Smith thing last night? Did you see that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
So
for the
I
listeners,
heard, yeah.
yeah, real
Okay,
quick for the
I'll let you.
listeners, if you haven't seen it yet, I'm sure you have. Will Smith went and smacked across the face Chris Rock because he made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head. Uh, I guess it came out today that he didn't know she had an illness and that's why she shaved her head. But yeah, Will Smith got really mad, walked up on stage, smacked him at the Oscars. Is it the Oscars? Is that right?
Oscars, yeah.
Yeah.
Oscars.
So did you see that?
I did see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my wife actually told me that a bunch of people have broken it down and it actually was staged.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
That's what she said.
Theater.
And they staged it. They staged it because the Oscars, I guess, have just been tanking. So they wanted people to talk about it, and
Man.
so
well,
here they are.
Did their
I mean,
job.
who knows? Who knows? I mean,
yeah,
because I guess they broke it down, and like Chris Rock was like totally bracing for it, like he was preparing for it and things like that. So I don't know.
Well, he definitely ate it. I mean,
yeah. I mean, they're both actors, right? And so they're playing their role well.
yeah. Well, so I brought them up, one, because it's kind of fresh in the news, but
Absolutely.
two, because they are, I would say, infamous for and I'm not a fan of this word really, but the toxicity that exists, at least not, I hate to say it because it sounds judgmental, but I really do think that kind of the dynamics that are working in that relationship are the opposite of what marriage is. Like, did you see a while back when I guess Will Smith was on Jada Pinkett's, I think it was Red Table Talk, and they talked about, I guess, the openness of their relationship?
I didn't hear their talk, but I have heard that they have, a quote unquote open relationship. Whatever the heck that means.
Yeah, I just feel like that's an oxymoron.
I'll just be honest with you. That is not what marriage is designed for. No. I mean, it's designed to be one man and one woman. I mean, just like the intimacy you share with another being, I don't know how you can actually look them in the eye and just say, oh, by the way, I'm going to go sleep at so-and-so house tonight.
Right.
It's just like, what a disrespectful way to treat your spouse, in my opinion. I mean, it's just, again, and I don't even know like if their religious background or if they are. I mean, I hope no Catholics out there have an open relationship. I mean, that's just totally slapping the face of God. But you are joined as one, and no man can separate that. And so when you actively go and you're breaking that union, your relationship is damaged. I mean, you can't say it any other way. It literally is damaged. Like, you have broken that vow that I forever am binding myself to you. My body is your body is my body from now until we die. I mean, when you just willy-nilly say, oh, I'm going to go sleep with, my sixth person in this last 6 months. I mean, it's not a marriage. I'm sorry. It's not a marriage. It's not what marriage is supposed to be. And it's making a mockery of marriage, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm not
100%.
afraid to say that.
Yeah, good for you, man. Neither am I. I agree 100% with what you just said. I think it is an oxymoron. Open marriage. A marriage is closed to two people. And once you extend that relationship beyond those two people, it's not a marriage anymore. Or at least it's not. You fractured it for sure. And I think like the argument is that, the person who is, I guess, the person who says that they're okay with it, they say, well, I'm okay with it, and it's for the betterment of the other person. And I'm like, man, like, can you really wake up and tell yourself that every day? Because at some point down the road, you're going to grow resentful. You're going to harbor all this anger and frustration and jealousy. Like, you can only suppress that. And those are natural feelings. You can only suppress those for so long. The Jedi mind trick that people do on themselves who are in those relationships is fascinating to me. Cause like, No, just be upfront. Like, I'm interested in you, 1-to-1. I'm not interested in anyone else. And if we're going to be in a committed relationship, but especially marriage, like, there's no one else involved. It's me and you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, again, it goes back to too, in our society, we're all about our passions, our emotions, right? It's who can satisfy me, who's the next person to satisfy me, and I mean, marriage is hard. I mean, there's no sugarcoating that marriage is absolutely difficult. And without God, I mean, it's no wonder marriages are failing left and right, because we've pretty much taken God out of the equation. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it will fail without God. If Jesus is not your bedrock, then your marriage will fail. And I mean, you look at relationships like that, these open relationships, and it's just all about your passion. And it's our society, just we can't say no to anything. It's, well, I feel like doing this, so I have a right to do it, so I'm going to do this. And if you
Yeah.
tell me otherwise, then you're wrong, and you need to stop judging me, because you're telling me that I'm being a sinner, basically. And we have no concept of sin anymore. I mean, there's no wrong, there's no right. It's, if you speak your truth, and that's fine, so don't come at me with your truth.
Yeah.
It's a weird dynamic in our culture that there's just no compass. We have no compass of where we want to go.
Yep.
It's just, well, tomorrow the wind blows this way, so we're going to follow that. But, oh, tomorrow that's bad now, so let's go back the other way. It's just, we're just dust in the wind. We have no foundation anymore.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you get without God. He is the anchor, he is the compass, and man, without him, you're just at the whim of wherever the cultural wind takes you.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, it's crazy, man. What is, if you could say, the greatest, so like in society today, love is this feeling, and
Mhm.
it's limited to this deep passion, this deep, I don't know, yearning for someone. But like, once that feeling is challenged, well, then I think people go, well, am I no longer in love with this person? And if it's a married couple, like, am I no longer supposed to be married to this person because they don't make me happy? They don't make me feel the same way anymore. Like, what's your take on that?
So I think I heard this or read this somewhere, that arranged marriages have just as much, if not more, success than marriages that are where the people get to choose their partner.
Wow.
So why is that? And because I've heard stories too of people where they had an arranged marriage, or they expected to get married, they got married, and it's like, I hated that person. But so what happened? And they ended up being together for like 67 years. And another thing too is marriage nowadays is different than what it was, where you were just expected to be with that person. And again, it's kind of what you were talking about. It's like, well, they're not making me happy anymore. And it's like, okay, well, they're not. If you want to break it down, they're not designed to make you quote unquote happy. Okay, only one person can make you happy, and that, as we know, it's God. He's the only. Every single human person that you interact with, they're going to fail at some point, and they're going to make you mad. They're going to make you miserable, and so your spouse is no exception. And so I think what happens is that we put our spouses on this pedestal sometimes, and as they should, to an extent, because they're your partner. But at the same time, you need to recognize that they are fallen too, and that they sin, and that you need to love them anyways, because that's what God tells us to do. And so this feeling, again, we just talked about it. This love is a feeling, and it comes and goes. It comes in waves. There's some days where I'm on cloud nine again, like when I first got married to Betsy. Is that all the time? Of course it's not. That's unsustainable. You want to get, and I mean, just think about when you and your fiance first started dating, and things were starting to really turn into really more serious. It's like, she's all you could think about, right? And all you could think about was, I want to send her this text, or write her a love letter, or go buy her something, or what are we going to do tonight? What are we going to do this weekend? That she's all you thought about. And if you think about it, we can't sustain life that way. We have to work. If you have a family, you have to raise children. There's all this other stuff you have to do. So if we're always on cloud nine, we want to get anything done. And so it's great when you have these kind of these highs and lows, but it's the lows, that's where the true love comes into play. It's, you are really pissing me off right now, but I still love you. And that's when your love for your spouse grows into something that no one can ever break. Because if you're just expecting, I remember, sorry if I'm going off on tangents here.
No, you're good, man.
My wife is really into The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. That's her guilty pleasure. So sorry, Betsy, if you're listening, I'm calling you out. But anyways, I remember, well, I watch it with her sometimes too, so I'm calling myself out. But there's this one episode, and the lady was saying that I'm looking for that like in love relationship that never dies. And the guy was with her, he's like, well, that's just like what's going to happen when that feeling fades. And she goes, no, like I want a relationship that never fades. And he was just kind of looking at her. It's like, are you living in reality, or is this in an alternate universe? Because it's not real. It's a Disney movie that you're looking for. You're looking for a fantasy world. And the quicker people realize that, I think the quicker they can start to appreciate the other person that they're with.
Yeah.
Is that, oh, you're not supposed to make me happy all the time. Like that comes from a different source. And the only source that can make me happy all the time is God. And so the quicker we kind of take that veil away from our spouse, the more we can truly love them. And Bishop Barron always talks about, to love someone is to will the good of the other as other, and is to say, I might not like you right now, but I'm going to do this because I will that this will do something good for you. So you're loving that person even when, you're mad at them, or they made you really angry, or, whatever the case might be, because there's going to be plenty of moments like that. But you don't just, give them the cold shoulder and tune them out just because you're a little angry at them. I mean, you can't do that to another person.
Yeah. So. And I love when Bishop Barron references Aquinas's love definition, right? Willing the good of the other as other. So even when that feeling is not present, like you said, that's when that true love, that authentic, that radical love kicks in, where I'm going to act in a manner that's best for you, best for us, even when I don't feel like you are reciprocating it, even when I don't feel like you're making me happy in a particular moment. I'm going to do what's best for you and for us, because that is love. It's an action. It's a verb. It's not limited to a feeling. I remember I can't remember which, I remember, and then I can't remember. I can't remember what meeting the topic was, but it was a part of the marriage prep. And the speaker was talking about the main role of each spouse. And I don't know how I got it right. I had never heard it before, but he goes, what is the responsibility from spouse to spouse? Like, what's your main objective? And I just kind of blurted out, like, to get your spouse to heaven. And he said, that's exactly it. I don't know where I heard it before. I don't know if it was in the back of my mind or something, but like, it's not to my main purpose is not to make her feel like on cloud nine all the time. And hers is not to make me feel that way all the time. It's to do what's best for each other. But, you alluded to earlier, it's no longer each other. It's you're one unit now. So to do what's best for the relationship. And yeah, I just think the single-mindedness culture, like I'd rather be single, I'd rather have the freedom to do my own thing. Like there are, I don't know. It's like going to McDonald's, right? Like you can get a lot of things for really cheap, and you can go back there and there's going to be something new every week, but like you're missing the quality. You can have the quantity all you want, but you're missing the quality of relationship if you choose not to, I don't know, get involved in a deep love like that.
Well, I think too, I mean, it's probably Jordan Peterson, but I heard this somewhere too, where someone was talking about how boys cannot become men until they stop thinking about themselves and they start thinking about others.
Yeah.
And the two most vital things that we think of are marriage or becoming a priest, because then your life is no longer about you, it's about others.
Yes.
And that is what men nowadays miss, is that they think that they are a man, but they're really not, because they are falling for their carnal desires, the promiscuous men, the men who only chase success, who chase the fancy cars. I mean, they're chasing something.
Yep.
But they're not really a man, because all they're thinking about is themselves.
Yep.
And until a man gets it in their head that, hey, this life isn't about me, then can start to mature. And guys out there who, I was like this, and until I recognized that this life is not about me, that's when I started to mature. But I was a selfish boy.
Yeah.
Even into my mid-20s.
Yep.
I thought about myself all the time. And it truly takes it's a gut check, until you recognize that and realize that. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah, for sure. And it's something where even still Emily's like, you're being a little selfish right now. And I have to reflect and say, okay, am I just thinking about what I'm wanting, what I would like to do, what's on my mind, or am I considering everything? And sometimes, not sometimes, but you always got to be honest with yourself, because sometimes I am just thinking about myself. But it's a struggle that we all deal with. But to be able to admit it, to acknowledge it, admit it, and then respond appropriately, I think is really important. To live outside of yourself is like that's in part what we're made for, to extend outside of our own pleasures, our own desires. Like, I'm not meant for just me. Like, how boring would life be? Not to mention how chaotic would it be if everyone just lived in their own little bubble. COVID is the perfect example of that. Life's all about you. You want to be on your own. Like, look what happened to suicide rates, depression rates, anxiety rates during COVID. You were all by yourself. What you said you thought you wanted, but in reality, it's not good for us as human beings, because God didn't create us to be alone. Here's Genesis for you, right? Like, man is not meant to be alone. So he made Eve for him. And then was it Augustine who said this? Not from his head to lord over him, not from under his feet for him to trample on her, but from his side for them to be partners. I butchered the quote, but along those lines.
That's pretty good.
Thanks.
That's pretty good. And I don't remember who said that, but I have heard that quote too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's totally applicable to marriage too. Yeah, she's your equal.
So
treat her as such.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the two become one. Like the mind, the way, like everything that goes through our minds now have to go through your wife and my soon to be wife's mind. Everything that I do, she should be aware of everything she's doing when she's going somewhere, I should be aware of the values, like everything is shared, because we're not two individual people anymore. We're one. And like, that's an odd concept it sounds abstract, but yeah, like two people are now becoming one. And I guess that's another mystery of the faith, but I think it's a beautiful one.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's another thing too. I mean, just like the Eucharist, we'll never fully be able to understand it. I mean, we can have book knowledge about it and things like that, but how does two actually become one, in that union? I mean, it's a beautiful mystery that, again, we'll never be able to fully unpack, but something that is God gave us for a reason.
Yeah. If in, I don't know, one or two sentences, you could offer advice for someone discerning marriage, what would you say?
Oh, gosh, that's a really good question. I would say, don't be too picky. But I do want to have a caveat with that. What I mean by that is that as you get older, you become more picky because you have this idea of what the perfect spouse is in your mind. And there's never going to be a perfect spouse. So obviously you need to have the similar interests, but like my wife hates sports. I really like sports. We get along fine, so obviously you have common ground in some aspects of it, but find someone who you can see being the parent to your children and pick that person.
Awesome.
Because the soulmate, the right person, quote unquote, I always hated those lines because that changes from day to day. But like the soulmate things, like I'm looking for my soulmate. Again, you're living in fantasy land because your soulmate is going to be someone you think is immaculate. That you're going to think they're the Blessed Virgin Mary. That's who you're looking for, pretty much. And there's only one Mary. So look for the person that you can picture being the parent to your children.
Yeah.
And pick them.
Yeah, that's a great word there. So just pivoting off of that, picturing the person to be the parent to your kids, like what's your favorite thing about being a parent? What's your favorite thing about fatherhood?
The joy that children reintroduce to your eyes is something that just blows my mind away every single day. And just the simplicity that they have with life. And they are just so excited to see you because you are their world. And I just think being a parent is the greatest gift that God ever blessed humanity with. And it will challenge you beyond your expectations. But it is probably the most rewarding thing that you will ever do is raising this your flesh and blood, and raising them to be a young man or a young woman is, like I said, it's the greatest gift. But I mean, my favorite thing is seeing the world through their eyes, because it makes you a better person and it challenges you, and you can't grow without being challenged. So I'd say that's probably the biggest thing, my favorite thing.
Yeah, I love that, man. I want to get into the speed round to close it out, and then we'll ask. I'll ask you where the audience can find you on social media.
Absolutely.
All right. So speed round. There's it's this or that or your favorites, and there's 6 of them.
Okay,
ready?
let's do it.
All right. And for the listeners, speed round is just to get to know our guests a little bit better. So just kind of some what's your favorite, or would you pick this or that? All right. So question 1, James, are you a morning person or night person?
Morning person.
Nice. Beach or mountains?
Mountains.
Augustine or Aquinas?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Aquinas.
Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Favorite sacrament?
Oh. Wow, I haven't thought about that. I'm gonna say the Eucharist.
That's authentically Catholic of you.
I know. such a Catholic guy.
All right, last one, and we are in the middle of it right now, at least as we're recording this. College football playoff or March Madness?
Ooh, March Madness.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. College football season is my favorite season, but
me too.
March Madness is the best.
You can't beat March Madness. Just the slate of games and the drama. It's awesome. It's to me. I mean, I'm a huge hockey guy, so I love the Stanley Cup Finals and stuff. But you can't beat March Madness. It's the best sporting event, I think, ever.
That's awesome, man. Well, where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, you podcasts. Just type in The Manly Catholic anywhere you guys get podcasts. We're on Apple, Spotify, Amazon. I have a YouTube channel as well, The Manly Catholic. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, pretty much all the major platforms you guys can find us. I have a personal email in the show notes of our podcast. If you ever want to email us questions or shoot me a message, I always ask for feedback, topics, things like that. So feel free to reach out to me anywhere.
Awesome. And I will put links to some of those accounts in the description. But this was a great talk. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for the mission that you're pursuing in making fathers saints. I think it's a great venture that you're on. I think I would really love to say thank you for saying yes to God calling you to do this. I think that by listening to, I don't know, a dozen of your episodes now, what you guys cover, you and Father Dom, is quality. I think men all around the world need to hear it. And again, just thank you for doing that.
Oh yeah, it's our pleasure. It's something we love. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for the work that you do as well. I love the podcast and everything that you're putting together. I'm looking forward to more, and I'm sure we're going to have more conversations in the future.
Yeah,
so, thank you for having
absolutely,
me on.
man. Yeah, I loved it. Thank you guys again for tuning in to the Modern Catholic Life podcast. James, thanks again. We will see you guys next time. Thanks again for tuning into the Modern Catholic Life podcast. For more content sharing the truth, beauty, and goodness of the Catholic faith, you can follow, like, and subscribe to our Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and Facebook by searching @Modern Catholic Life. We'll see you next time.